Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our class. This is actually a continuation of our discussion yesterday regarding the topic on introduction to teaching of culture and geography in the elementary grades. So, if you remember, in the past days, we were able to discuss already the different curriculum being used to tackle geography and culture in the elementary grades. So, for geography, we are utilizing the Matatag Araling Palipunan curriculum being the new curriculum, but in the past, we were using the K to 12 Araling Palipunan curriculum. Now, for the aspect of culture, although Araling Palipunan is also able to teach aspects of culture in the elementary grades, we also have another subject that is also being utilized to spread information about the different identities that Filipinos can actually have in terms of their being Filipino, in terms of their physical health, and in terms of their literacy, and that is the Makabansa curriculum. Okay, so it's actually an offshoot and a product of the goals and objectives of the Matatag curriculum to decongest Key Stage 1. So if you remember in our discussion, Araling Palipunan and MAPE were eliminated as a subject in the grades 1 to 3 curriculum, and they were integrated towards each other, which now forms or produces the Makabansa curriculum. So Makabansa is a combination of Araling Palipunan and MAPE. So it's safe to say that Araling Palipunan and MAPE are still there, albeit they're integrated to form the Makabansa curriculum. So at this point, everyone, we will be continuing with our discussion on our introduction to teaching of culture and geography in the uh, elementary grade. Okay. So before anything else, I would like you to do this particular activity. No, although we are doing this asynchronously, but if you want to really stretch your arms, stretch your body, stretch your legs, no, so it's very important that you are able to participate in this particular activity. Now, there are statements that I would like you to read and do something when you read or hear those particular statements. Of course, these statements are related to our discussion on teaching of culture and geography in the elementary grades. Now, if you agree with the statement, you are going to bring a blue object. And if you disagree with the statement, you bring a red object. So you have so many things there in your homes that are colored blue or red. So you are going to bring them in front of the screen. And if you agree with the statement, you're going to bring a blue object. If you are going to disagree with the statement, you're going to bring a red object. Would that be all right, everyone? Okay, can I see a thumbs up? Okay, again. So let's have the first statement. I rely on celestial navigation to find my way around campus. I rely on celestial navigation to find my way around campus. Go. Okay, so this particular statement tells us that you use constellation or the stars to be able to locate where the administration building is, where the president's office is, where the city dean's office is, or where is the canteen. So do you do that? So basically, no, most of you are really disagreeing with that statement because we don't actually need the constellation, no, astrology or celestial navigation for us to find our way around campus. Although some humor circles would have it, we still don't have a campus right now in Cebu Normal University. Some are even saying we are the Cebu No Campus University. But that's just a humor that's being perpetrated or being spread around by some people. No, we do have a campus, and the campus of CNU lies in the heart of our students and its faculty. Next statement, Google Maps is my best friend when navigating both cities and group projects. Google Maps is my best friend when navigating both cities and group projects. So basically, most of you would like to answer blue here, or being able to bring a blue object since we literally use Google Maps in finding our way around the city or in bigger areas or in areas that are strange to us. Okay? But in this particular second word or phrase, which is group projects, so it might confuse you, no, as to how will this be done in terms of the utilization of Google Maps. Okay, but basically, most of us are using Google Maps to find our way around town, find our way around Cebu. If we want to find a restaurant, if we want to find a place where we can relax, we use Google Maps. If we are new to that particular place, we use Google Maps or we use um, the Apple Maps, no, in the for those who are using iPhone. Okay, next statement. Climate change isn't just a global issue. It is a campus issue when it's 40 degrees Celsius during finals week. Okay, but this actually very opposite with what we have experienced last finals because our finals is actually um what do you call this one? Our finals is actually was hit by a typhoon, no, by the earthquake. So basically, it was not really hot. Okay, this could be true, no. When we'll have our finals in the future on March, no, or April at the end of the school. Next is I hand draw topographic maps every weekend for fun. Okay, so I hand draw topographic maps every weekend for fun. So do you do this? Do you use or do you draw maps for fun every weekend? So not all of us, but maybe there could be other people who always draw maps, no, for their own sake, for their own um, uh, hobbies. Okay, so basically that's part of their way of life. Okay. Next is I analyze tectonic plate movement data daily to track daily steps record. So this is very um, heavy, right? Because we are going to analyze tectonic plate just for us to be able to track our daily steps record. You know what we're after usually is 10,000 steps every day, no, to use up all the fats to lose weight. However, in this statement is very confusing since we're asking tectonic plate interpretation or analysis just for us to track our daily steps. So there are actually apps, no, using our Apple watches or our Huawei watches or Galaxy watches, okay, or our phones for that matter to track our daily steps record, not really to analyze tectonic plate movement data. That's very heavy. My main mode of transportation to CNU is a camel. My main mode of transportation to CNU is a camel. So, do we use a camel to go around CNU? Okay, that's really not our thing because we don't live in a desert area, but rather we live in an urbanized area wherein we also have sources of water. Unlike in desert area, wherein their main mode of transportation is really to use a camel. We go to Saudi Arabia, to Dubai, to Yemen, to Oman, no, those Arabic countries or Arabian countries. Okay. So all of those things that we're able to mention on this particular concept, everyone, is actually related to the first thing that we're going to mention or first thing that's part of our course, which is actually on geography. Okay. So if you're going to ask the National Geographic magazine, they say that geography is a study of places and the relationships between people and their environments. So there are actually two concepts related to geography. It's the study of places, the physical features, and it also is focused on the relationships of the people and their environments. So it's not only about what does the terrain look like or what does its topography look like. It's also as to how the environment shaped the way of life of the people. If they live near the mountains, what could be their livelihood? If they live near the coastal areas, what could be their livelihood. For example, I am from Bantayan Island, as you know, everyone. Now, because we live in an island, our main source of livelihood is the sea. And our livelihood is revolved around fishing. So it could be fishing, it could be drying fish, it could be uh, creating accessories from the shells. Okay. Now, if you live near the mountains, basically most of the people who live near the mountains, their livelihood is centered on farming, okay, on crop rotation, on horticulture. So that really affects our way of life as to where we live. If you go to other places and other countries as well, that's also the same because there's a relationship between the environment and the culture or the way of life of the people. So where did we get the word geography? So we got that from the Greeks when they combined the words geo, which means earth, and graphene, which means writing or description. That's why if we're going to combine these two words, we get earth writing or earth description. And to sum it all up, we have ancient Greeks and Arabs contributing to the concept of geography by creating their maps, by having their theories as to the location of the different places. Okay, because of course they are just neighbors. You have the Greeks in the center of the Mediterranean area, and you also have the Arabs, no, in the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea. Okay. Now, we always hear and interchange the word geography and topography, everyone. And basically, us who are in the social studies area, we have to know what's the difference between these two particular words. Okay. So, geography is the broader field encompassing the study of Earth's features, both physical and human, and their interactions. So, as what I have said earlier, geography doesn't only talk about the physical features, it also talks about the relationship, the connection of the people with their environment. Now, topography, on the other hand, is basically more focused on the physical features of the earth. So if it's geography and you take away the human aspect, you take away the relationship aspect, and you only have the physical features, that is only topography because it only focuses on the physical features of the earth's surface, particularly elevation changes and land. Okay? So if you are really watching this video, kindly comment in our classwork. What is the difference between geography and topography and provide an example that is contextualized from your own experience. Again, if you are really watching this video, you are going to comment in our classwork and answer the question, what's the difference between geography and topography, and provide examples contextualized to your own experience. Okay, so that will serve as your attendance for watching this particular video, this discussion of ours. Now, we also hear and always interchange geography with the word geology, everyone. No, you can see here the beautiful disaster, which is Mayon volcano. That's what they always say. Now, again, geography examines the Earth's surface features, their distribution between people and their environment. But on the other hand, you have geology, which delves into the Earth's composition, structure, and the processes that shape it, including the studies of rocks, minerals, and tectonic plates. So basically, if you want to know about how the Earth was made, what are the processes that led to the creation of the Earth? What are the types of rocks? If you remember our discussion or your discussion on earth science, you will remember the igneous rocks from the volcanoes, the metamorphic rocks which undergone changes as time passed by, and the sedimentary rocks which were left when the oceans receded. No, and you can see these sedimentary rocks all around our place, all around the Philippines, because in the past the Philippines was actually covered by ocean water. So looking at the Mayon volcano here, that already tells you that that is the aspect of geology. Although the Mayon volcano also has its own concept of geography because it also affects the way of life of the people. Even though it's very dangerous to live near Mayon volcano, but there are still some people who choose to stay, who choose to live near the danger area or the radius from the volcano. Why is that? Because the land that surrounds Mayon volcano is very rich in nutrients. And so people use it to plant their crops. Okay, so it's somehow a really a paradox living there, no, or an irony living in that particular area because your life is in danger, but it also serves as your livelihood. It also serves as your way of life living near the volcanoes. Okay, so that is the difference between geography and geology. Now, when we talk about geography, everyone, it's also important that we are going to talk about maps. And the usual projection or computation or maps that we use is actually using the Mercator projection. Okay? So this is very familiar to you because this is what has been used as our maps since we are in the elementary. Okay, so that is the Mercator projection. You have here the Philippines, you have Australia, you have here South America, you have North America, you have Africa, you have Europe, then you have the Russian Federation here, Japan, no, Indonesia, Antarctica, Greenland. Okay. However, everyone, there are many people saying that the Mercator projection that is being used to project our maps is actually not telling us the truth. Okay, so this is how it looks like, and it's not telling us the truth. Why? Because it doesn't really tell us how big is the world in terms of its real size or real um, area. Okay, because there are parts of the map using the Mercator projection that's being stretched out and it doesn't really tell us its real size. No? So for example, here you have Greenland. So if you're going to look at Greenland here, it's very big, but here its real size using the uh, using this particular map, okay, it is actually very small. And many African countries are saying, everyone, that the Mercator projection is actually very Eurocentric or Western centric because it tries to project Europe, North America, or South America as bigger. But if you're going to look at Africa in its real size, it's actually bigger compared to Europe, North America, and South America. So those countries that are more associated with Western civilization, they receive a bigger size in the Mercator projection, but in its real size, they're actually smaller compared to Asia and Africa. And it somehow um, increases the notion that European countries, American countries, all those countries associated with Western civilization or Western culture are superior compared to African and Asian countries. And that is not what Asian and African countries want to project. Okay, again. Okay, so that's it for teaching of geography. Now let's proceed to teaching of culture, everyone. Okay, so culture is the people's way of life, the genius of the people, and it is the characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people, encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and arts. Okay, so Very simple. It's our way of life. It's how we live. What are our usual routine? How do we respond to elders? What are the things that we eat? No, what are our customs during weddings? How do we respond to criticism? So these are all part of our way of life. That is culture. Now, on the positive note, culture is also the genius of the people. What are we proud of? What are we most known? No? So, for example, in Japan, they always say that Japan is really or has really mastered the art of efficiency, that everything is efficient. That's why their way of life is also anchored on the concept of efficiency. For example, minimalism. Minimalism is actually a concept anchored on efficiency of the Japanese. Because if you have lesser things at your in your home, you don't have so many things that you use, so you are more efficient because you can function better because there are no clutter. So, di ba? As what that minimalist um, vlogger or content creator always say, always choose those things which spark joy for you. If it doesn't spark joy, then you have to eliminate it out of your life already. Okay, but on the Philippine side, okay, although we always say that um it's always being romanticized, but Filipinos have always been resilient, and that has always been our genius. Joy and happiness is also our genius because we always find joy in everything that we encounter in our life. Basically, that aspect of our resilience is anchored on our innate search or innate ability to find happiness in everything that we encounter. Okay? So it is culture encompass our religion, our language, no cuisine, social habits, music and art. So we always think that Cebu has always been the same in terms of language, but if you go to Camotes, they have a different language there. They're more into Z, no, instead of gayud, they gadzud. Okay? And if you go to Bantayan, we are more into Y there. Gayud, Biyay, um, Kiag, which is Kalag, no, Kiamay, no, and so many other different words because our island there was a stopover of different languages. Ilonggo, Waray, Masbateño, Cebuano. Okay? So, we always think that we are one place, but there are actually variations in terms of language. There is also variation in terms of culture. Okay? Now, if you're going to look at this particular diagram, everyone, you will see here that culture is manifested in different aspects. Okay, so you have language, you have communication, you have courtesies. When you say courtesies, how do you pay courtesy to a particular person? Okay, how do you address that person? Okay, in French, they have madame or bonjour. Okay, in the Philippines, we have ginoo. We also have ginang, and we also have binibini, no, for the single ladies. Although I read in an article, everyone, that ginang is more of uh later invention, later linguistic invention. Why? Because there's no such thing as ginang in our dictionary before the coming of the Americans or later in the coming of the Spaniards. So we always use actually ginoo, even for men. Because in Tagalog society in the past, ginoo or maginoo is of royal birth or royal blood. Okay, so if you try to memorize the Hail Mary, no, it actually says there the first statement is Aba Ginoong Maria na pupuno ka ng grasya. So that alone, no, tells us uh, that Ginoo has always been present. Okay, and Ginang was a later invention. But to address the lack of honorific for married women, that's why the word ginang was invented. We have our rituals, no, our roles, father, haligi ng tahanan, mother, ilaw ng tahanan. Okay, but in some cultures, that's already changing because we already follow a more egalitarian direction or route. That's why some husbands can actually stay at home and become house husbands, and then it's the wife who is um, looking for a job in the family or has having a work to to support the family. We have our own customs, no, our traditions, okay, our relationships, our practices, okay, expected behaviors, values, thoughts, manners of interacting and language. Okay. So if you are really watching this particular video, everyone, so I want you to comment also in our classwork or private comment, okay, as to what example can you think of in your own experience based on these particular components or aspects of culture? So just choose one. For language, what could be your experience? For communication, courtesies, rituals, roles, customs, relationships, practices, expected behaviors, values, thoughts, matters of interaction. So you just choose one. Okay? Okay, that you have an experience and you can add as a private comment. Okay. So in terms of talking about culture, everyone, there are also two words that we need to be reminded of. So we have the word enculturation and acculturation. So what do you mean by enculturation? So it refers to the process of learning and internalizing their culture's values, norms, beliefs, and behaviors. So basically, if you are born in that culture, you're already undergoing the process of enculturation. So you are raised in the missionary faith, or a young girl is already instilled with traditional Christian values and beliefs. So inculturation. So you are being cultured because you're already an insider of that particular culture. Now, acculturation is a process of cultural exchange when people from different cultures come into sustained contact. So now, you go to this particular country and you acquire their culture. That is acculturation. A Filipino moving to the United States, that is acculturation. An American who wants to live in Siargao like Barbie girl, alam sa mga vlog-vlog, no? So that is also acculturation. Okay, a woman from Mexico moving to the United States and learning English and communicates with her new neighbors, that is acculturation. Okay? A Filipino wants to work in Dubai and there he or she will learn the culture of Dubai, how important for them to follow halal and the Sharia law is. That is also acculturation. Okay. Now, there are also different words that you need to be reminded of, everyone, when we talk about culture. So we have these particular words: integration, assimilation, segregation, and marginalization. So you have here the legend, you have here Lena, you have the native culture in this aquamarine color, and then you also have the blue as the host culture. So, for example, I am going to the United States of America. I am Lena. I have my own culture, which I brought with me from the Philippines, and then you have the culture of the Americans as your host culture, the culture that received you. Okay, so through these pictures, you will be able to understand, everyone, what's the meaning of these particular words. So, for example, we have here integration. So, Lena is able to integrate into the American culture. Or, for example, myself, I am able to integrate into American culture. Why? Because I am still able to retain my native culture. I am I feel like I am still Filipino, but I am also able to get aspects of my of the American culture in my own household. So, for example, integration is when you celebrate Thanksgiving, okay, every November, but instead of turkey, you are serving lechon or liempo. Instead of casserole, you are serving pinakbet. That is integration because you still retain some aspects of your culture, but you accept wholeheartedly the culture of your host country. Now, the other one is assimilation. So if you're going to look at this one, everyone, you will see that Lena is already blue totally, meaning she has left her own culture, she has abandoned her native culture and truly assimilated to the host culture. So, for example, if Lena is Filipino, she went there in the United States of America for Thanksgiving, she will serve turkey, she will serve casserole, she will serve cranberry sauce, and all those other staples being served during Thanksgiving feast and nothing from her native culture, that is already assimilation. Okay? Now, when you talk about segregation, everyone, segregation is you will be able to see that the Lena did not really integrate or assimilate with the host culture because she is with her own people. So they're able to focus on their own culture. While the host culture as well are able to focus on their own. Now, here in the last word, we have marginalization. Marginalization is when Lena is not given attention by her own native culture, or she's not part of this particular culture. She's not also part of the host culture, and she is being abandoned, and she doesn't have her own to adapt to cling to. That is marginalization. You are being left out. You are not part of society. You are not part of their community. So that is marginalization. Okay? So you have integration, assimilation, segregation, and marginalization. So I hope that is clear, everyone. So when we are going to somehow teach geography in the elementary grades, okay, there are different aspects that you are going to somehow learn, everyone. Okay, and when we go back to our class by January, so you will be having this as your output because we will have our sharing no regarding this particular information. Now, for group number one, you will be tackling about the five themes of geography. For group number two, you'll be tackling about the physical and cultural geography. For group number three, you'll be tackling about the strategies and methods in geography teaching for elementary learners. For So we are moving on to the teaching of culture in the elementary grades. For group number four, you have culture and its components. For group number five, you are going to talk about building cultural understanding. For group number six, you will have framework in teaching culture. For group number seven, culture-based teaching strategies. So I will be posting the details in our Google Classroom. After this video will be posted as your classwork for today. Now remember, everyone, that you need to answer no, you need to answer the questions that I have asked in the duration of this video for culture and geography, and you are going to have that as a private comment here in the classroom.